Mr. Royce Taylor, welcome in Holland. Tell us, how did you start your career?
I was a teenager in high school, about 15 years old, and I had no intention whatsoever of becoming a singer. I had chosen, actually, my profession was going to be that of a preacher. And so I figured I thought I would finish school, and then I would go to university, and I would study Bible and philosophy and all the necessary things, and then probably become the pastor of a church somewhere and live happily ever after. But that wasn't the way it unfolded. A year later, I was singing in the church we were attending with a friend of mine, and someone invited us to take our song to another place. And so we sang our song, and from there we got another invitation. And then soon someone said, "Can you sing 20 minutes?" And I said to my friend, "We need to learn more than 3 songs." And that's really kind of how it began. We were invited many places, almost from the start, and we're singing somewhere every week, almost from the beginning. So it was a very unusual beginning for me. And of course, when you're 15, 16 years old, the time span of 1 year feels like a long time because you don't have that many years to gauge it with. And so I thought that as our career was progressing and we were becoming even more busy and more popular within our area, that we had been doing this a long time. Now, 52 years later, I look back on that time frame and I say, it's amazing to me how quickly things began to unfold in that time span. And it began in gospel music. I started singing gospel music, and that's really where I've spent the bulk of my career, is gospel. But that's not the only places that I have been directed to go and to take the music, and it has put me in some amazing places. I honestly say this when I tell my story, that I live an extraordinary, ordinary life because I'm really just the same guy that I was 52 years ago. I'm still that same basic kid, but now I have all of these experiences behind me in life that have allowed me to go places I never dreamed I would go and meet people I never expected to meet, and share the stage with some of the biggest names in the music business. And it's just been an incredible, incredible career.
What was your connection with Elvis?
Well, actually, I didn't have one, to be honest with you. I got into the Elvis world very late in life. Of course, who wasn't familiar with Elvis, number one, and who wasn't in the music business at some point that his music or something that he did not have a direct influence, and that was the case with me. When my friend in school, David, and I began to sing, some of our earliest gospel music was selected from his Grammy Award-winning albums of the day. So some of those early songs that we began to share that blossomed so quickly to cause us to grow and be invited many places, many of those songs were the songs that Elvis had already taken and made well known in the area. So that would have been sort of the beginning connection. The second was an interest that we had in a group, and oddly enough, I did have a connection with this group much later on in my career as well. There was a group back in the 60s named the Imperials, and they were a gospel group that was far above in creativity than most of the groups that we were working with in the day. And their music arrangements were edgy and very hip, very progressive. Had shades of the Beach Boys tones and other great vocal groups like the Letterman and the Vogues, and I'll tell you more about the Vogues in a minute. And I heard this group, and I liked the approach that they had to the gospel music that they were doing. And our group by then had gone from 2 to 3 to 4, so we were a quartet as well. And I said to the guys, we need to start crafting some of our music to be very similar to what these Imperials are doing. And then very soon after this, they were invited by Elvis Presley to join him in Las Vegas for that very first show at the International Hotel in 1969. And little did I know that fast forward to 2010, that they would need a tenor singer, and I would have a chance to audition with them and become part of the very group that had that strong influence on my own beginning career.
So now you're in Holland in the house of Freddy Cadel.
Yes.
What's your connection with him? How do you met him?
Well, he came to a number of shows that we were doing with different Elvis connections across Europe. I saw him in multiple cities, and was really kind of fascinated that he would show up on a cruise, or he would come to Vienna, Austria, or we'd meet with him in Ljubljana in Slovenia, or he would show up in Berlin at a show. Whatever the case may be, we became very good friends with Freddy and Nandina. And I was watching, and I think it was something posted on Facebook. Perhaps Nandina had done this, perhaps someone else had, I don't know exactly. But it was Freddy singing some Elvis songs. And I had spoken with Freddy many times, and he never once mentioned to me, never once said anything about being a singer. And I thought that unusual, because usually people who want to do Elvis music, people who have a desire, or especially those who are singing, whether it be locally or regionally or whatever, and doing this kind of a show, that's the first thing they want to tell you. And for him, I had to say, Freddy, I saw you singing. And he very quietly said, yes. And I said, well, why didn't you tell me? He says, I don't know. I said, well, we should do something together. And he said, really? I said, yes, we should do something together. And opportunity had been that I had just put a new show together of my own called Gospel Music and Elvis Presley. And my music focuses, again, because of my background in gospel, focuses on the music that Elvis made popular in of gospel music style and titles and message. And this kind of music speaks to an Elvis audience and beyond. Because Elvis enjoyed the music, they are naturally also going to be attracted to it. And so I was telling Freddy about this new show that I had focusing on the gospel music of Elvis Presley, and he says, well, maybe we could create a show and do some things together. He says, I could do some of the more popular, well-known songs, and you could do the gospel songs in a program, and we could see where this could take us. And that's how I ended up here in Holland. And that's how I ended up here in his home. We've put that idea together. We've started things rolling with some great musicians, and now we're going to see where life will take us. And Oranje Shownieuws people are going to help us do that because they are the best. I want you to know that.
Is there a song that you always want to sing that you loved?
You know, I've been asked that many times across the years, especially. What's your favorite song? Not necessarily your favorite Elvis song, but what is your favorite gospel song? And there are so many that speak. There are those that are timeless, songs like Blessed Assurance, and I particularly like the song His Hand in Mine. It wasn't written as a gospel song, but the song You'll Never Walk Alone fits the genre so well, and I choose to share those two particularly, within my own show. I've crossed paths with so many great songs. Great is Thy Faithfulness is another terrific old gospel tune. And then there are many that are fast and fun and light and still speak great messages. So it's very difficult for me to narrow it down to just one. But when I do choose a song, I choose it because of what it says. Oftentimes, more than how it sounds, even though how it sounds is quite important. But I choose it because the entertainer in me also wants to be an inspiration to other people. And so I don't know if I have a single favorite, but if you come to one of our shows, you certainly will hear a mix of the songs that I like to do and I like to share.